Yan, sasakay muna kami ng boat para sa sightseeing sa Canal dito sa Amsterdam.
Kayo na lang.
Country, but this hasn't prevented them from making their mark on the world. Their curious nature and tenacity has been apparent since the Golden Age, when Dutch explorers sailed far and wide and set up settlements in faraway places like New Holland and New Amsterdam, which have since been renamed Australia and New York. As a
We're now on the Canal, or Canal, a connector canal which cuts across the three main canals.
Large building here to our right on the corner, former Palace of Justice. They left this building a couple of years ago for a new building in the central station area. This building here is the largest building by footprint in the old city center of Amsterdam. It has recently been sold to some Chinese investors for 63 million euros and will be converted into an hotel. So here we are at Leidsegracht, the canal named after the city of Leiden, some 35 kilometers from Amsterdam. This canal also used to be the city border till 1650. The city wall has been here to our left.
The Gentleman's Canal is part of a careful plan to expand the city. In the early 17th century, a time of tremendous physical and economic growth, 3 new canals were laid out in concentric rings. The Herengracht was innermost. The Keizersgracht, or Emperor's Canal, was in the middle, followed by the Prinsengracht, or the Prince's Canal.
The wealthiest citizens, shipbuilders, merchants, investors, and politicians built elegant mansions on the Herengracht. The Keizersgracht was solidly middle class, while the Prinsengracht had a more industrial atmosphere. Of the 3 canals, the Prinsengracht was the only one that connected directly to the harbor, and its both sides were designed for loading and unloading cargo.
And so, the farther you live, as we pass by these decorated canal houses, there's so much, so many flourishes and details, ornate door cases, sculptures.
A bit later, followed by the bell gate, which has a more rounded, bell-like shape. By the 18th century, the cornice, a flat-top gable, was
There's one thing that all gables have in common: the hoisting beam. Staircases were so narrow and steep that furniture and goods were lifted to the upper floor via the hoisting beam, along with the goods.
And from Chad. She going zagen. What's first doing?
Looking for something else authentically Amsterdam? Pay a visit to the Jordaan, a lively and well-known neighborhood not far from just west of the Prince's Rock. In the early 17th century, this neighborhood sprang up outside the city wall to house the growing population of poor laborers and immigrants who served the city's welfare. Through the 19th century, the Jordaan continued to be a district for the industrial working class, known for its outspoken inhabitants, romantic labor. One thing to note about the residents, if so much as a single ray of sunshine is out, expect to see locals dragging their chairs out onto the street to soak it up.
Renaissance-style building of brick. They're said to represent the Greek gods Apollo, Mars, Ceres, Minerva, Bacchus, and Diana. But legend has it that they symbolize the 6 thieves who once tried to break into the house. They were beheaded by a brave servant.
Powerful company. It specialized in whale processing the meat as well as the whale oil, which in turn was used for lamp oil, soap, and paint, all very profitable commodities.
Buildings have been converted into trendy apartments. The atmosphere is much quieter and more pleasant. And luckily, the canal water is much cleaner than it used to be. It's now filled with a number of creatures, including fish and crabs. Several types of water birds are also happy to make these waters their home.
The golden age of the 17th century was a stellar time for Amsterdam. From politics and the economy to arts and science, everything flourished. And the city was now the most important trade center in newly discovered lands in the Far East and to North and South America. They organized into companies like the Dutch East Indian Company and the Dutch West Indian Company. And the profits from trading staples like grain and exotics such as spices, precious stones, and textiles were enormous.
Every 50 years or so. If you look closely, you might find the date these gates were last replaced. It's recorded on the gates themselves.
Rotterdam, de stond, ja, aan de bediening.
Amsterdam, Capital. Capital. Goedemiddag, welkom.
Parang Japan din ito na ang daming bisikleta.
But you'll see a variety of craft, including barges, riverboats, and cruise ships. Riverboats are often docked in the harbor, a small, flat,
Hindi mo naman yung hilwala ng mga bike.
to the Rhine River in Germany. You can also find some ships in Amsterdam's harbor. They come from all over the world, entering the harbor through the North Sea Canal.
Tweemaal opvaren.
Maar bos, zat er nog mooi mooi aan.
Central Station, the transportation hub of Amsterdam, is built on 3 artificial islands and
Amsterdam, al dit Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Al dit
The building's height equals the depth of the tunnel. Nemo gets its green color from the oxidated copper that covers its walls. There's a unique sand-filled terrace on the roof where you'll find sunbathers searching for rays while enjoying beautiful views of the harbor and the city.
Hindi, collection ko lang. Ano lang? Souvenir ko lang.
We are approaching the only remaining artwork to the Amsterdam Light Festival. This one is named Lightscapes.
We're now traveling along what was once the outer defense wall of the city. The original city boundary was to the right, to the left, salt marsh, and the North Sea. The red brick tower coming up ahead of us is the medieval Model Bond Store. An ideal lookout for sighting potential invaders, it was built to protect the city's shipyards, wharves, and warehouses from attack. From here, that soldiers armed with longbows, crossbows, and early firearms called arquebuses kept watch over the wide expanses below.
the tower's white spire and clocks were added a century later. They were designed by Hendrik de Keyser, an architect whose work can be seen around Amsterdam, and who you're certain to hear more about on this cruise. The clocks couldn't keep time, and the tower's bells rang out randomly, so locals gave it the nickname Silly Jack.
In Amsterdam, a mix of peat, sand, and soil is very soft. Because of this, buildings were generally designed to be as light as possible. None were very tall, and they often had lots of windows. For stability, they were built on a bed of wooden piles driven as deep as 15 meters, that's 45 feet, into the ground. But if these piles were exposed to the air, they began to rot, and the buildings they supported sank and shifted. Today, water levels in and around the city are carefully controlled to minimize rotting. When new piles are needed,
The name morphed into Floyenburg, for Flea Island, and the bustling market held here was called the flea market.
For centuries, Jewish traders sold their wares here. The market continues to operate and is now known as the largest flea market in the Netherlands.
You might recognize this scene from one of Monet's paintings. Well, actually two paintings. He painted this scene twice in different seasons. We will make a U-turn here, so you'll have a second chance to see the dancing houses and the church.
Hey, goedemiddag, Ossen.
Ja. Nee, dat moet er ook bij. Afscheidsborrel of zo. Volgens mij was er in de EP een afscheidsborrel.
To give you an impression on the value of houseboats, the one right in front of us, the black one, it will be the second one to our left in a moment, was for sale last year. Asking price here was 1.2 million euros.
The round white-faced building you see next to the City Hall is the Muziek Theater, or Music Theater. It's home to the Dutch opera, known for its daring productions, the Holland Sinfonia, and the world-renowned Dutch National Ballet. The Dutch may be known for their tolerant attitudes, but they also have strong opinions. This piece of architecture was met with heavy protests that have since simmered down. In fact, that's how it got its name, Opera. It's derived from the movement against the construction, Stop the Opera. We're now met with heavy protests that have since simmered down. In fact, that's how it got its name, Opera. It's derived from the movement against the construction, Stop the Opera.
Michelangelo blew in his cup of light.
The way across the Amstel River. Of Amsterdam's 1,500 or so bridges, this is the most famous. It dates back to the 17th century and was likely a narrow footbridge. Since then, it's been reconstructed more than once and grown wider with age. Legend has it that whoever believes the Amstelhof, a retirement home that closed its doors in 2007 after serving Amsterdam for more than 3 centuries. For the next 2 years, it underwent extensive restorations, reopening as the Hermitage Museum. Though unknown and poor for most of his 19th century life, Vincent van Gogh is now world famous. His highly stylized paintings are among the most
Each passing street
Alright, this is the end of the tour. Boat ride tour.